Welcome. My name is Walter Putnam, and I'm the Senior VP of Real Estate and Development for Geenex Solar. That's for all the adults in the audience. For the kids, I am part scientist, part businessman. And you may not know this, but a lot of us in the working world are actually scientists. Today, we're going to talk about energy. My wife was a third grade teacher for quite some time. This is a presentation that I would give to her class. I'll do my best to keep it interactive, and I hope you all enjoy it. Energy comes to us in a lot of different forms, and we all know that we use electricity to turn on the light bulb. What I would challenge you, though, is to figure out where that electricity actually comes from. When you flip the switch, where did it start? Today, we're going to talk about the different forms of energy, specifically renewable and non-renewable, and how we turn that energy into the electricity that we use every single day. So how do we capture energy? We capture energy with hydroelectricity and water. We capture energy through the sunshine and solar PV. We capture energy through the wind. We've also captured energy over millions of years before us that's been stored underground in the forms of coal, natural gas, and oil, which are conventional fossil fuel energy. The interesting thing about all these different forms of energy and the way in which we capture them is actually that at the end of the day, whether it's wind spinning a turbine, or hydroelectricity spinning a power wheel, or gas or coal heating up, boiling water to spin a steam turbine, all of it ends up turning into electricity. The first one that I'm going to touch on today is hydroelectricity. Many people know that when it rains, you can end up with water way up high in the hilltop somewhere. And as it runs down the rivers towards the ocean, we'll build dams in order to actually capture this energy. Water is heavy. It's powerful. This right here, small glass of water, weighs a couple of pounds. And you can just see, if you pour this water, just how much there is going on in there. Take a step back and think about it. What if you could have hundreds of millions of these? How heavy would it be? One of the largest man-made lakes in the United States was created by the Hoover Dam. It is a massive facility, a ton of concrete that's holding all of this water back, and it creates a ton of power. So when you hold all this water back and you've got all this weight stacked behind a dam, when it rushes through the bottom, it turns a really large wheel. When it spins this wheel, it creates electricity. What makes this a form of renewable energy is the fact that rain and natural events refill the water on the top of the hill that ends up running out the bottom. So we don't have to do any work to put that water back into the top, and it refills over and over and over again. These power plants are big. They're impressive. And if you haven't been to one before, it's something you would have never expected. So at the bottom of this dam, you see a long hallway, and it's filled with these huge, what look like containers, big enough to fit 15, 20 people inside of them. And you've got dozens of them lined up in a row, creating electricity out of the water rushing through the bottom of the dam. So the question that I have to the kids out there, hydroelectricity, is it renewable or non-renewable? Test at the end, we'll see if you can get it right. Another form of electricity generation is coal. So a coal-fired power plant takes coal, and we heat it up and we burn it. We heat water to boil it, and then we run that hot steam through an engine that spins a wheel and creates electricity. What's interesting though, isn't just the power plant. How do we get the coal? Where does it come from? I've got a little 2-year-old son, and this is one of his favorite toys. And this Tonka truck right here doesn't look all that big. And it's not. But in real life, this thing right here is a monster piece of machinery, 30, 40 feet tall. And could you just imagine how much coal they fill up in all these things? So they dig the coal up from the ground. They end up putting it into this large truck. They pull it out of the hole that they've dug it out of. They put it into a barge and they ship it over the sea. Then when the barge comes into the port, wherever the coal is going, they pull it off of the barge and put it into trains. And then there's delivery day. You have all these train tracks, these massive trains filled with coal, and they all show up for delivery day at the coal power plant. And then they offload it into a big pile, and then they slowly feed it into the coal power plant. This all happens behind the scenes before the electricity is even made. Could you imagine that all this work is done for you to turn your light switch on? It's kind of amazing. But the work's only begun. So you get the coal to the power plant, and now you've got to rush it through a steam turbine. How do you turn coal into electricity? You heat it up and then you use water. After the water is boiled, it creates this steam. It runs through a turbine, spins it really fast. It's like a jet engine. This thing is an amazing looking piece of equipment. Spin it really, really fast. You put a weight on the other side of it, a generator, and you create an electrical field out of it. It's a really phenomenal piece of work. So the question, we dig coal out of the ground and we ship it to the facilities. The question is coal renewable or non-renewable? Another form of electricity generation, which is close to my heart because it's the type of electricity generation that I work on with a team at Geenex, is solar power. Specifically, solar photovoltaic. Solar PV is a process of creating a panel that takes the sunshine and turns it directly into electricity. The solar cells themselves are manufactured in a very clean environment, almost like a surgical room. There's a factory where they take these solar cells and they put it onto a piece of glass with a backing sheet to it and press it all together so it's safe and reliable. And then they case it with aluminum around the sides so that you can transport it and mount it on items, put it out in the field or onto your roof. You see solar panels on rooftops. I'm sure you've seen them before. You'll see large power plants. And that's what we work on. We work on large solar power plants. And there's a couple of main components I think you find interesting. You have racking that's driven directly into the ground. You have the PV modules themselves, which actually collect the sunshine. You have the inverter and transformer, which take the power, clean it up, and help you put it onto the grid. For solar energy, the sunshine comes up every day. Whether it's cloudy or not, it comes up. So the question is, if we get it over and over again and we don't have to pull it out of a hole or go find it somewhere, is solar power renewable or non-renewable? So we have these two main types of energy, and I hope you've written down your answers to the 3 questions that I have. We have renewable energy and non-renewable energy. The first topic I covered was hydroelectricity, which is renewable. Then we covered coal-fired power plants. Those are non-renewable, fossil fuel-based. And then back to solar, which is a renewable form of electricity. There are different types of electricity production that can be used in certain areas better than others. There's not one form that's better or worse. They all have their place. I think that's very important because the idea of producing power that's needed in the given spot is the smart way to do it. So there's many forms of energy, and if you want to hear about a couple of others, we'd be happy to get some experts on here to continue to explain some of the details. And one thing I want to close with, if you have the opportunity, who wants to be a scientist? Whether it's Einstein or Curie, I'd love to end with a quote: creativity is contagious. Pass it on. I'd like to thank Geenex and the Center for Energy Education. If you are interested in more information about solar electricity, visit our website at geenexsolar.com. If you're interested in educational opportunities, please visit the center at centerforee.org. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful day.